I didn't really get any biographies of the Steivender brothers because I figure everybody's known them for a long time and they know a lot of people in here. But Frank, of course, has been very active in all the sesquicentennial activities this year and and he works at Citizens First, runs the bank, and Jim, his little bit older brother, runs the county.
Engineering part.
At least a lot of the engineering and public works and all that stuff. I hear him mostly talking about roads and highways in Lake County. So we're just delighted to have them. We're sorry that their dad couldn't come. He's not feeling very well. But he supplied a lot of the stuff for the program. So it's real exciting because the Steivender family are real pioneers of Leesburg. So great. We're glad to have you.
Glad to be here. The first one, we're going to start off with the theme that the Christmas parade did, now and then. So we're going to go from the Steivenders now in Leesburg and go backwards, okay? We're going to take a straight shot back. We're not going to branch off too far because that would be take too long. But that is actually my father standing in front of his old car. We do not have a year of the picture, and that's then and now. This is what looks today, Wachovia Bank on North Boulevard, okay? Here it is. Here's my lineage chart because we're going to have some of these. I guess when I got married, my father was very inducted I was going to have 3 kids. But that's what's in the book. In fact, I'm now 50 years old and none of it's taken, so I guess that's not going to happen. That's why I put the dinks. That's called dual income, no kids, okay? All right, there's my brother. This is his chart. His ex-wife, Debbie Steivender, the county commissioner, have had 2 children. She has 2 children before from her prior husband. And
Ron has 2 girls and a boy, and Jennifer has 3 girls.
Okay. We need to update our charts. All right. Well, we'll do that as we go along. All right. Next is go back to next generation. We go to my father, married and had 2 sons. Okay, and they're both here, doing well, as far as I know. Okay, my father will be 85 in February, and my mother will be 83 in August. Okay, tell me I'm right. Okay, that's why I back up. Next one, grandfather. Okay, grandfather had 3 sons. Okay, Arthur, who lived in Greenville, South Carolina till he died in 1990, and of course Fred on the other end was worked for the city of Leesburg, clerk, city clerk, chief accountant for the city till he died of cancer in 1963. Never married. But going back, Aikin married a lady by the name of Nanny Purnell's Pintle in 1919. And the Pintle family goes back to her mother was a Brown. And to get off the chart and do one of your people here, that puts us and the Gregg family. Go back to the Brown family of Orangeburg, South Carolina, which I don't have all the charts for, so I didn't go there. Okay? But that goes back over to Orangeburg, South Carolina, where my grandmother was from. All right? But going, let me get my notes. How far did I go? Okay, Reb. All right. You know, charts get boring, so we're going to go back to. Okay, what have I got to do? Thought it hit. Okay, that'll really embarrass you. There's the 2 of us right there. All right. We figure we're about 4 and 6, estimated 1962. Then, here's what it looks like now. Dr. Matthews' office over on North Boulevard behind LRMC North. Okay? That is what it is now compared to what it is then. Now we're going back. Great-grandfather Aikin Steivender. Aikin Steivender, as you see, his chart's quite busy. He had 3 wives. His first wife was Nanny Carruthers out of Sumter County. And they had 8 children. Okay? A lot of them only lived a few years before they died. She died at a very young age, and he remarried Mrs. Emma Liggett. And she had her first child was born and stillborn. Second child was Arthur Nelson, my grandfather, and she only lived 20 days after he was born, and then she died. So Aikin had to raise my grandfather pretty much by himself until he married his third wife, who was Minerva Drake. Okay? Now, going back to his mother and father.
Hey, Frank.
What?
While you're right there, Minerva Drake was known.
We get to there. We got that.
You didn't show me that.
I didn't show you that. Okay? All right. All right. Great-grandfather and grandmother, Duncan Steivender, married Margaret Gillian Lee. And we'll get to Gillian's side in just a minute. And they had, 7 children, okay? Now again, Arthur and Aikin must have been the busiest ones because they each had 3 wives, okay? And because of the sesquicentennial, we have found pioneer descendants that take us back to Indiana Steivender, who married a Donald Roach. Gloria Ann gave me some information on them, and we've been in contact with them. We've also been in contact with Clementine, okay? So we do have some of these. And then we go back on Margaret Ann, or Gillian's side of the family. Her father, Arthur Lee, and we know the Lees, but that's how we link in. Her brother, Evander Lee, of course, is Leesburg's namesake. And as we move backwards, there is the obituary of Gillian Lee. Compliments of Carol here at the genealogy place because the newspaper article was horrible to read, and that is not very good. But it does talk a lot about all her children when she got here with her 4 children during the Civil War. What happened is Duncan was killed very early in the Civil War. She lived in Dothan, Alabama with her children. And of course her brother, her father, were all here in Leesburg, and so they convinced her to get here. So she came here with practically nothing, and when she died, she had over 800 family members and a lot of children. And it's a very interesting article, obituary in the newspaper. And I have copies of it if anybody wants to read it. But again, I look at this like looking at a family album. You can only go so far, okay? If you got to be really interested in it. All right, another picture. All right, this is the original Steivender home located on North Boulevard where Wachovia Bank is. And this shot was taken from the west side late in the afternoon. This house burned down in 1917. This is a picture of Aikin Steivender standing in front of the old home with Nanny Carruthers, his first wife. And again, there's the front shot of Wachovia Bank. I went and took the pictures on a Sunday afternoon because you do not go take a picture of a bank building. If you want to have every alarm will go off if a bank employee is in there and somebody starts taking pictures. I've been in banking 25 years. Mr. Littleton knows what I'm talking about. You see somebody mysteriously around a bank casing it out, you'll get the cops there. Didn't know that. Okay, there's a picture of Aikin Steivender and Aikin and his second wife, who's my great-great-grandfather. That is actually the ad that's running in the Lake Today magazine this month. Next is a very interesting piece of paper. It's hard to read. I have the original in here. It is Aikin Steivender's application for a pension, military pension, for fighting in the Civil War to the state of Florida. Okay? It's 27 pages. Typical government document, okay? All right? Very dull. Interesting on some of the signatures on it, but very dull, okay?
Did he ever get any money from it?
We believe so because Emma Lee, Minerva Drake, made application as a widow's descendant, and I have a copy of that. If he didn't get it, I don't know how she could have applied for a widow's pension. So we're assuming she got it, and we have no idea what it was. This is another interesting picture I found. This is Lone Oak Cemetery on your left, and it's the Steivender, one of the Steivender areas out there. And I tried to take it from the exact same area. And if you watch it correctly, those other tombstones, other than the big one, are in this picture. Those are actually Aikin Steivender's children that died very early in their years. Aikin's tomb is not on the right picture. We have absolutely no way to state this, but we believe that's Minerva Drake at the graveside of a just buried Aikin Steivender in 1910, 97 years ago. Proof. All right, there is a picture of Minerva Drake. That is the best it can come out. It is in terrible shape. Nominated as the oldest living co-ed, Miss Minerva Drake Steivender, 80 years young. That's what it says right here, in case you... Because it says she taught school for 50 years. There was her obituary. She died in Belton, South Carolina at the age of 88. And it says she taught school for 50 years.
Where was she a co-ed?
I don't know. I'm going to guess somewhere in South Carolina. Do you know? But that's what this is all about. I mean, genealogy is a constant learning and a constant, belief in what you do. And again, I mean, you don't go find these things unless you just save everything, okay? And I forgot to pick it up. The tag. Okay. There's the picture today. It was taken in front of the new, brand new rebuilt Steivender home in 1929. But as stated, my father has this picture blown up and actually has this license plate framed around it because we still have it. We don't get rid of anything, okay? Go into my mother's house and she's got every plastic shopping bag she's ever, never mind, I'm not going there. Okay, but that just, come by it honestly. I mean, the reason we know we don't save anything, I'm driving a 52 pickup truck half the time. Okay, that was Aikin Steivender when that was Reb's vehicle when he was constable. Okay?
He bought it from
Butler Chevrolet in downtown Leesburg, April 7th, 1952. We all have the original tag and the delivery papers. We don't get rid of anything. All right, let's go. Yes, that day's daily commercial was sitting in the glove box. Okay, because believe it or not, it made it possible for both of us to drive a vehicle to high, because that was all we were able to get. Our dad would not buy us a vehicle. Says you can tear that thing up, you can tear up an anvil with a rubber mallet. So that's all you're going to drive to high school until you can afford to buy you a car. We're not giving you a car.
We tried our best to tear that thing.
We did, and now I'm pleased as punch we didn't. All right. All right, last photo I could find. This is an old photo of the Steivender home showing the garage. Again, it was taken at right at the Wachovia Bank building there on North Boulevard. This was the rebuilt showing the garage. And as you might know, somehow there's an attraction in the Steivender blood for windmills. Okay, don't have an excuse why, but we do. There's a windmill in that picture. My father has always wanted a windmill for the last 5 or 10 years. That's all he wanted. And I tried my best through Sumter County as the villages was headed south, seeing so many windmills. And I knew the family. I called them up and I said, before they tear your windmill down, can I have it? What do you want to do with it? I said, I just want to take it and rebuild it. And no, what all the villages did was pick it up, throw it in the dumpster, and haul it in the garbage can. They didn't want it either. Okay? So finally, about 3 years ago, George Green, the Windmill Properties out on Spring Lake Road, was selling his, and he had an old windmill. And he just never could figure out why our fascination with windmills. But it was. We went down, we took the windmill down, I got a crane, my brother and my father and I all went out, took the windmill down, tower and all, took it home, found out the windmill was built in the mid-1888 to 1992. Had not been in production that long. Everything looked like an egg shape inside. Worthless. But we got a great tower. Now you got to buy a windmill. So we love windmills, and the only other place in Leesburg I know there is a windmill is at Sunnyside at El Dorado. The windmill still is out there. So we have an attraction with windmills. And talking about Sunnyside, Aikin had a brother. His name was Dr. Arthur Steivender, and he's the one with 3 wives. Okay? But through his third wife, they had whoops, go back. Okay, they had Arthur, okay, Emery. And Arthur Emery is the one that lived out at El Dorado on Sunnyside in the big white home you still see out there today. They had one daughter. Their daughter was named, when he married Allie, my Aunt Allie, and they had one daughter by the name of Gladys. She married Mr. Biggers, and they had 4 children. Currently, she would prefer to be here, but her children want her with her in Utah. They've become Mormons. So we assume they're voting for, never mind, we're not going there. All right. See, but anyway, there's more to these charts out here, and you could go a whole history just on the Biggers and the Steivender family at Sunnyside. There are different sections out at Lone Oak and at Hillcrest, and a history of their own. And this right here is where I would like to make a comment. We've tried to find as many pioneer descendants as we can. With the sesquicentennial year, I've not been able to spend as much time on it as I would like following up. So even it's part of the Historical Society to get these out. What I would hope we could do, we would extend it on into 08, giving us time, dating the certificates December 31st, 2007, and our lovely mayor would still sign it along with the clerk of the city. Okay? Give us time to find more pioneer descendants. Because as I've found out, I've had so many of them come up to me and tell me, I'm a pioneer descendant, where are you going to recognize me? I hate to tell them it don't work that way. Okay? You know, people who are worth $1 million didn't get it handed to them. Okay? You have to do the work to get it. And we're working on trying to educate those people on that. Okay? Now this next picture, I tried my best. I drove out to El Dorado to figure, where in the world would that have ever been? We think El Dorado really was a whistle stop out at Sunnyside. We believe this was the old, and this is Reb Steivender with some gentleman who I do not know, and don't know who it is, out at El Dorado at what would have been where the train would have stopped to take on water, okay, cool itself. So that may be where that picture was taken. I don't know. I would have liked to go find a shot, but I'm sure that wood post is long gone. All right. Going back to embarrass my brother and I again, this is Reb Steivender looking at his 2 grandsons. Now, you ever tried, I meant to get this picture made a few days ago on Sunday, and I didn't get it made, and I had to go ask Dr. Matthews, could I take a picture or two from where it should be. And I believe that those 2 trees, there was another tree behind, I didn't quite get but that's where it was, right there facing 3rd Street. The house has now been torn down, and no telling what he was telling us.
Yeah, 2 boys. Frank, he was the one that was the constable.
That is correct. Well, we don't know when this was done, but we assume he won election. To my friends of the 10th Judicial District, for my fine vote given to me May 4th. Aikin Steivender, Constable, 10th District. Okay? I don't know when that appeared in the Daily Commercial. Okay? He died at the age of 72, July 14th, 1963. And this appeared in the Daily Commercial the day after, on Monday. And very active life. Not nearly as long an obituary as his grandmother, but who was Gillian Lee. And we cannot find Aikin's funeral notice. We believe we have a copy of it, but it's not in those 2 boxes. Okay?
He died of emphysema.
He died of emphysema. You are correct. Now we're going to...
Those non-filtered cigarettes all his life didn't help.
Yeah.
Then he decided to go to cigars.
It really helped.
Yeah. He was noted in P.B. Howe's book as being a constable. And cheapest way to serve people.
The constables were paid by how they brought people in. Deputies got paid no matter what. So deputies would call on Grandpa and says, "I've got somebody in Astor, come pick them up." He'd bring them in and get paid.
Let's go back to Centennial and go of the Brothers of the Bush. All right, that is Fred Steivender on the left and Jim Steivender on the right. And those were Brothers of the Bush of the Leesburg Centennial, 1957. Okay, both having their centennial ties on. All right. Well, we didn't do any better. Father like son, I grew a beard, and I didn't get you in it. So,
I got the paper with,
okay. You know, I'm glad he can grow a better beard than I can, but that's okay. But speaking of the three Steivender brothers, I wanted to finish this one up. They're all three graduates of Leesburg High School, saying, "See no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil." That is Nelson on the left, my father in the middle, and Fred on the right. All right, now, you all know we've had a couple of Pioneer Festivals this year. I don't know how you have a second one in 1 year, but we did, okay? And when we did, we got Stu Paquette, a very great guy, who has over 50 completely restored International Harvester tractors. Okay? Beautiful tractors if you didn't make it down. And we needed tractor drivers. Okay? So we got 12 or 15 guys, I cannot remember the number, who said they knew how to drive a tractor. We got one lady. Okay? And I can tell you one thing. She knew how to drive a tractor when a lot of the men didn't. Okay? She did. And let me tell you how good she did. There she is, Glory Ann. Now and then. This is her as a young girl. There she is on a tractor just a few months ago. All right? Because I can tell you, she knew how to drive it. Some of the guys that told me they did lied. Okay? Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned earlier about the application for pension,
Yes.
27 pages long, and you said what was interesting were some of the signatures.
Yes.
But you didn't tell us them?
Well, you know, I don't know what would be interesting to me, may not be interesting to someone else. It is. I've got a complete full copy here for you to look through and see. It's got all the. It's got a number of county commissioners in it, a number of the doctors that signed. Okay, basically that said he wasn't wounded in the Civil War. So for what it's worth, it's here. You're more than welcome to keep it as long as you would like. Okay.
I saw a Haynes in there, and I don't know if that's Captain Haynes tied over there because he was in charge of the infantry in Florida, but I couldn't verify the signature or anything. But it was spelled the same way.